Welcome back to the cookie jar. Today we are doing the second recipe from the strawberry shortcake murder. It is called apricot bread pudding. It's on this page. Okay, so this recipe is just kind of one they added into the book for the baking competition. It doesn't really have any major points or anything like that. It's just kind of something she made on camera and that was it. But to do this, we are not preheating the oven yet because it has to soak for 30 minutes and kind of absorb the custard base. But you're gonna need 8 slices of white bread, either homemade or store-bought, half a cup of melted butter, 1 stick, 1/4 pound, 1/3 cup of white sugar, half a cup of chopped dried apricots, not too fine, you want some chunks, 3 beaten eggs, just whip them up with a fork, and 2 1/4 cups top milk. You can use light cream or half and half. Then it says heavy cream, sweetened whipped cream, or vanilla ice cream for a topping. And then it's got a little top milk is great grandma Elsa's word for the cream that floated to the top of old-fashioned milk bottles. And at the very bottom, it has a note that says you can make this with any dried fruit, including currants or raisins. Andrea likes apricots, Mother prefers dates, and Michelle thought it was yummy with dried pears. We didn't try it with prunes. Carrie Rhodes is the only person I know who likes prunes, and I'm not going to comment on that. So, everything's laid out in the kitchen. Let's get in there and get baking. So here are the 6 ingredients we're gonna need for today. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to take a 2-quart container and we are going to rub down the sides and the bottom with a stick of butter. It just says butter generously, so I'm not going to use cooking spray. I thought about it, but it specifies to butter it, not spray it. So I think it matters. But I'm just going to rub it all over the sides, trying to make sure I definitely get the corners. And of course across the bottom. Okay, there we go. I ripped it. Okay. Now it says, I'm going to set that aside. Remove the crust from the bread and cut each triangle into 4, or each. All right, so remove the crust and cut each one into 4 triangles. Just make an X with your knife. So I'm going to do about 4 at a time. And then we're just going to toss those in there as well. All right, so I've already melted the butter and I'm just going to pour it on top. Toss them with a spoon until they're coated in the butter. Well, all the butter is gone from the bottom. They're not all coated entirely, but I'm sure it'll toss around as they sit and soak through. But that is what we have so far. Okay, so it says arrange approximately 1/3 of the triangles in the bottom of the casserole. Sprinkle on 1/3 of the sugar and half the chopped apricots. I don't know. I'm just going to line the bottom. That's what I'm going to do. 1/3 of the sugar, so that's a little less than half. I'm just going to sprinkle it up there. And half the apple. That's what we have. Now it says to put down half of the remaining triangles and sprinkle on half of the sugar and all of the apricots. All right. Cover with the rest of the triangles, scrape out any to get any remaining butter, and put it on top. Well, I can guarantee you all of the butter got absorbed into this bread. There is no remaining butter. I think instead of trying to layer it on top, I'm just going to try to fill in the gaps. So if there's any big missing holes, I'm going to try to put some bread in them. Just to kind of fill it out a little bit. Sprinkle with the remaining sugar and set aside. I feel like this is a lot of sugar to anything else ratio, personally. So that is what we're at now. A lot of sugar to bread, it seems. Okay, whip up the eggs in the butter bowl and whisk in the light cream. So here's our eggs. They're already beaten because that's what it said in the ingredient list. So just gonna whisk them up a little bit, I guess. And it says to whisk in the cream. So just gonna drizzle this in while I whisk it. It says to pour this over and let it sit for 30 minutes. So I've never been a fan of bread pudding. It's never really been my thing. So I don't really have high hopes for this, or liking it, my preference. But it doesn't really seem like there's very much flavoring to it. It just basically seems like sugar, butter, and apricots. So I don't know where the flavor is going to come from. But we will see. We're going to let it sit for the 30 minutes and then we will bake it when we get back. So it has been 30 minutes. It's sort of soaked into the bread. This is what we have, and it's just going to go in the oven at 350 for 45 to 55 minutes. And it says it goes in uncovered. We are just out of the oven, and now it needs to sit for 5 minutes. Okay, so we are cooled off. It has been 5 minutes since it came out of the oven. I know it does put it in a dessert bowl, but I didn't know if you'd really get a good look at it that way. It is still super hot. Make sure I get a piece of the apricot. Because like I said, there doesn't really seem to be any real flavoring in this. I kind of have a feeling this is going to be super bland. It's gross. I'm not sure what went wrong where. Or maybe if it's just I don't like bread pudding at all. But it tastes like sweet scrambled eggs with fruit. I don't like it. Guys, I do not like it. I don't even want to eat another bite. I really don't. Next week, we are making oatmeal raisin crisps. We're back to cookies. Thank gosh, because this was a big old no. So if you're interested in the oatmeal raisin crisps, join us next week. Bye, guys.